Hello, I'm Bo from Sweden again. Welcome to my journey being a newbie, making mistakes and searching for solutions. This is the second video and two in this series. We won't waste any time, so let's start. What do I want for my motor railroad? I already decided that my railroad is going to be based on microcontrollers and motor railroad. That was the original idea and the reason that I selected motor railroad as my hobby. After viewing DIY and digital railroad videos about DCC, I already knew that it will be based on DCC-EX, an open source system that is very competent. DCC-EX is a software that you run on a microcontroller, creating the command station. I will be using an Arduino Mega. Then I will add a DCC-EX motor shield 8874. It's a 5 amp booster, amplifying the signal to the track. It's called a shield because you can plug it in on top of the Arduino as a piggyback module. On the top of the motor shield, I will plug in a Wi-Fi shield 8266, so I could communicate through Wi-Fi with a command station from my iPhone or iPad. Finally, I will buy an app, WeThrottle, so I can have a graphical interface on my iPhone or iPad. There is also apps for Android. And after a while I upgraded WeThrottle to Throttle Card, that is a little bit more advanced app. The time period should be around 1955 to 1965. That will give me an option to run both steam, diesel and electrical locomotives. Also, I'm very fond of the cars and buildings from this time period. The location should be United States, Colorado. I saw a video from the historical narrow gauge railroad Durango and Silverton and fell in love with this theme. I want both mountains and valleys where the main village will reside. But my layout will be total fictional, only based on the inspiration from Colorado, mountains and landscape. To continue my planning, I needed more information. I used YouTube as my primary channel, but also Google as I'm artificial intelligence. After watching videos from DIY and Digital Railroad and Märklin of Sweden, I found out that I needed to decide what kind of track layout that will fit my wishes. Here you can see my choices, marked in yellow. There will be switching operations on yards and on the industrial track, but I want to build a show of trains, so automation will be more important. The staging area I need to think more about. I'm not sure how that could fit in easily. Here's a list of all the videos I was watching on YouTube to get the information I needed to continue. I used mostly videos from DIY, Digital Railroad and Märklin of Sweden. There was other videos as well, but I think those was the best for me. Link to all above videos you will find in the description. Here is a schematic view over my hobby room. My layout can only be 950 by 2500 millimeters to fit into the room. When I was searching for information, I found this following recommendation. The layout start zero level should be around 38 to 52 inches, 96 to 132 centimeters to get the correct viewing angle. The lower value if you was sitting down and the higher value if you was standing up and looking at the layout. The deep should be around 2 to maximum 3 feet, 60 to 90 centimeters to be able to operate the layout from one side. The free passes in front of the layout should be around 2.5 to 3 feet, 75 to 90 centimeters. The light over the layout should be around 2000 lux or more. I was surprised how much light that was needed, and also make sure that the light doesn't create any shadows on the layout. The total height of the layout when separated from its legs should be less than the largest opening from the room to be able to get the layout out if needed in the future. In my case, approximately 75 centimeters because of the door. And this small size layout would be easy to transport on a trailer or in a small truck. I used this parameter in my further planning, but it was a mistake to believe that I could have 80 to 85 centimeters and handle it from one side. To ballast the track, make electrical connection or do landscaping was for me impossible at that deep. Maybe I have short arms, but I could only handle 50 to maximum 60 centimeters deep and operate it from one side of the layout. My solution to the problem was to put wheels on the legs so I could work from both sides when needed. Here's a list of the most common scales on the market today. There is variants on the HO scale, but they're not very common. For me, only 3 scales was of interest. The others is too big or too small. HO that I had as a kid is the biggest scale on the market. N scale is getting increasingly popular, and almost all functionality that's available for HO is now also available in N scale. This scale has been around from Märklin since the 70s, and it is impressive how well it runs. The supply of Z-scale in the US have also increased year by year. I started buying Z-scale, but I realized that I'm too old to work with these very tiny models. My eyesight is not good enough to handle Z-scale products, and there is no DCC locomotives. So then it was either N-scale or HO scale for me to choose from. What track is available for HO scale? A lot, in both 2-rail DC and 3-rail AC versions. The code is referring to the track's profile, height. For example, Märklin C track with a 90 have a rail profile of 2.3 millimeters plus the track bed, and the K track 100 have a rail profile of 2.5 millimeters. Here you can see the most common N tracks. Code 80 seems to be the most common profile in N scale. Well, both HO and N is very well represented on the market today. Here I made a list to compare HO with N scale. Beside it, obviously, that the N scale is almost half of the HO, it's interesting to see how much space a curve with different radius will occupy on the layout. A standard 180 degrees curve in HO will need between 1118 and 1220 millimeters, and in N scale it will use between 560 to 760 millimeters. Running 2 or 3 rail for me is not any big issue. Both have their advantage and disadvantage. Here I'm comparing Märklin C-track in HO with K2 Unitrack in N scale. Both have embedded track bed. Märklin C-track needs about 915 to 950 millimeters to make a decent 180 degrees turn. K2 Unitrack needs about 630 to 660 millimeters. In both calculations, I calculated with double track curve. For me it's a simple choice, since my layout only 950 millimeters deep in total. I can't have track that is going on the very edge. My choice is N-scale Cater unit track for my lower layer and Märklin mini tracks for the upper layer, while I will using flex track without any embedded track bed. Other things I thought about: I really don't want to crawl under the layout for wires and electronics. It must be reachable from the top. Microcontrollers and connectors should be in modules, easy to detach and work with separately. Maybe in drawers. All wires must be organized and tidy, marked so it's easy to follow what wire goes to what. Landscape, house and other construction should be as much as possible be in detachable modules, making it easy to work with separately and also possible to have alternatives over time. Lovely. Now all the necessary decisions are made. DCC, N-scale, 2 layers with a ground valley and a top mountain. Village in the valley, 2 stations on the ground and 2 stations on the top layer, 1 or more industries on the ground layer. Mountains in the west, north and east, framing the valley. Tunnels in the mountains. Cater unit track on the ground layer and Märklin mini tracks on the top layer. The time period is between 1955 and 1965. Location is United States, Colorado, but is total fictional. Layout size is 2500 by 950 millimeters. Easy to access from the top. Electronics and microcontrollers maybe should be in drawers. Modules should be for houses, landscaping, so they could be replaceable and also easy to work with. This is all for this video. If you're interested, there are and will be more videos divided in 3 series. This video is the second and 2 in the Newbie's journey. There are also 2 videos in the Electronic Series and there will be more to follow. The WICS wireless control system is under production and will be released soon. If you subscribe, you will have notification when the videos are released. Also, you will support the channel. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We're looking forward to share our next video with you. Until next time, bye.